Now, first off, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Okay. Sorry I didn't get to do an intro and all that stuff, but still wanted to get in here and chop it up with you guys about this situation because let me just be real. The streets are getting insane out here in Chicago and in Portland, Oregon. Let me repeat that again. Chicago and Portland, Oregon are absolutely knucking futs right now. Okay. Do me a favor. Make sure you guys can actually hear my microphone. I had a little bit of a technical issue. So just hit the number one. Make sure you guys can actually hear the microphone. All right. So just hit the number one. But here it is. Okay. We are looking at something that we have never seen before. Okay. Let me just make this abundantly clear. Okay. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to be fine. All right. I'm going to play it. Don't worry. We're going to get the feel good music because right now things are not feeling good. Okay. So here it is. All right. There is a lot going on today. All right. So I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. All right. Let's not forget that. Sorry, guys. My cord is acting a fool right now. 1, 2. Hey, testing. Okay. Better. But anyway, here's the thing, guys. Lots of things are going on right now. There's a press conference that the governor of Illinois is having right now as we speak. We're a few minutes behind, just so you know. Okay. I was having an technical issue. That's why we're a little bit late to the press conference. But nonetheless, this is really, 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 really important for everyone. Okay. So please do me a favor before we get into everything. Hopefully you guys are all doing well this weekend. I'm hoping the weekend found you well. Okay. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, please do me a favor. Hit that's follow button down below, please and thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too. All right. Hit that subscribe button, please and thank you. Go and subscribe to our other channels, The Pascal Show Clips and Pascal Raw. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it's random. And a lot of it's breaking news stuff. And especially what's going on right now in Chicago and in Portland. Woo! I am concerned. I am very much, there we go. I am very much concerned. Let me just say that really quick. I'm very much concerned. So make sure you're subscribed and all that, okay? Hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. All right, PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Okay, guys. All right. So like I said, there's a press conference there's been multiple press conferences that have happened over the past, since this morning. All right. It has been dun, dun, dun every 5 seconds, especially when it comes to what's going on in Chicago. Chicago is definitely... There's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago, all right, for lack of a better term. Now, I just want you guys to know we're going to get to this press conference because this is very, 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 very important, okay, with what's going on. Because how this goes down could be a foreshadowing for all other Democrat cities, all blue cities. In fact, all cities throughout the country. Let's be real, all right? And it doesn't matter what side of the fence that you are standing on, whether you are for this kind of stuff or not for this stuff, no matter what, this could be happening this could happen in your neighborhood. This could be happening in your city. So it should matter. You should be pricking up your ears and, listening to what's going on, because no matter what, how things are going down here could be the template of how other cities are going to handle things as well. And it could get volatile out here, guys. And it's already getting bad out here in these streets. There's already protests and all that. Now, have they turned into full-on riots? No, they have not. But they have gotten volatile, all right? People are getting hit, pew-pewed, all right? Hit, if you get what I'm saying. People are retaliating in very violent ways. This is not how we answer or solve our problems, guys. Let me just make that abundantly clear. But nonetheless, this is very, very bad, okay? What's happening in Chicago could happen in Portland. What's happening in Chicago could happen in LA. It can happen anywhere, guys. So right now, this is very interesting because there's quite an interesting rift going on in Chicago. There is some really interesting stuff going on because you got the mayor putting out an executive order called ice-free zones, which I'm really confused about. Like, I'm trying to understand it. We're going to talk about that after we hear the governor here speak. Okay, he said something about ice-free zones. Then you had the superintendent, okay, come out. I think it's Snelling is his last name. Superintendent Snelling came out and spoke out as well. But in a way, he was kind of pushing back, okay? They're pushing back on what the executive order is, the ice-free zones thing, okay? And then now you got the governor speaking out. And from my understanding, they're planning on having Illinois sue Trump. So this is a very interesting, wild situation. And I think there's a split going on within these elected officials, because I think some people agree with what's going on and there's other people that don't. So there's almost like a little bit of a, like a mini civil war going on between the elected officials and the higher ups that run the state and the city of Chicago, which is very, very interesting nonetheless. All right. And at the end of the day, this is not the look that you want to have out here in these streets. I'm just going to say that out loud because that just, I feel, proves Trump's point even more, right? Instead of it being them coming together and saying this is what we don't agree on together as a unit, right? They're kind of splitting up a little bit, which is very interesting. And that only gives opportunity for Trump to say, see, I'm proving my point right here. See how everything is going on in these blue cities? They can't even agree on things. See how unhinged and how much of a circus it is? Anyway, I digress. We're just living and we're dealing with some very interesting stuff. All right. Don't worry, I'm going to get into more of this stuff here in just a little bit. But like I said, or let me just say this too. Over the weekend, it was a very busy weekend for me, but I still tried to find some time to give you guys updates on what was going on in Portland and in Chicago with my shorts, all right? With all these short videos that I've been putting out, because that's the only time I had, right? So I was just squeezing those in, giving you guys just basically very basic information on what's going on, okay? Didn't get a chance to really do like 15-minute long videos where we can deep dive into everything, but I just gave you guys the bullets of what is going on. I hope you guys got a chance to see those updates and see what's going on. All right. Just giving you guys the information so we can get into this, because again, there have been a lot of demonstrations over the past couple days, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. So here it is. We are going to talk about things that happened earlier today and just a little bit ago, like the superintendent Snelling just did a press conference just before this press conference. And then the Mayor Johnson, mayor of Chicago, did a press conference earlier as well, talking about ice-free zones. We're going to talk about those things in just a little bit. But first, we got to get into this conversation and see what Governor Pritzker has to say about all this, because he has been pushing back at Trump quite a bit. All weekend, he's been pushing back at Trump, all right? Trying to stop ICE from being there, trying to stop national troops from being deployed in Chicago. And I also wanted to make this abundantly clear. Trump is actually trying to issue the National Guard from Texas to come into Illinois, to go into Chicago, to protect and, rule over the situation, instead of using Illinois' National Guard, which is interesting because for a fact they're trying to push back and trying to stop these things from happening. In fact, Texas National Guard is supposed to be going over to Oregon, or, Portland, and in LA as well. They're going to be deployed in other places other than the state that they're supposed to be deployed in. So this is very, very interesting. Now, again, Governor Pritzker called Governor Abbott and basically said, yo, reel your boys in. Reel them all in. Do not send your boys this way. Please do not. From what I'm understanding, Governor Abbott is all about it. He has cashed all in his checks, chips. He's like, I am all freaking in. Let's go. But are we surprised about that? Not really. Let's be real. We shouldn't be very surprised about that. Okay. It's a red state. Governor Abbott is a Republican governor. Not surprised that Trump is reaching out to other red states and seeing if he can utilize their National Guards to go into other states to control these cities. Okay. So again, this is absolutely crazy what Trump is doing. Also, another thing, I just want a quick reminder, and this is one of the other reasons why Trump is working towards getting the National Guard from other states to go into the likes of Portland and Chicago. Here's the thing. So over the weekend, a Trump appointee, a Trump appointed judge denied Trump from having the National Guard be deployed in Portland, Oregon, basically saying that this is not right, that you're trying to turn this into a military state. And they were not okay with that. They said, this is not right. Illegal. I'm not for it. A Trump appointed judge. I want to make that abundantly clear. So don't get mad at me. I'm giving y'all facts because I already know there's already the Trump, hardcore Trump supporters out here that will sit there and try to make it seem like I'm trying to sound like something that I'm not. These are facts. This judge said, hail to the no. And if you saw my video, basically, they said, you shall not pass, like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Hail to the no. And that's why Trump reached out to Governor Abbott and basically said, hey, yo, bro, yeah, we friends. So can I borrow your National Guard to go into Portland? Not only just Portland, but can I get them to go into Chicago too? Because I have a feeling I'm going to have a big problem with Illinois. Because I think Pritzker's already sitting here saying, hail to the no as well. And of course, this is what we're at right now. So you have a completely different state, National Guard, about to be deployed or actually going into the likes of Portland and Chicago. So, and this is all against, at least with Portland, it is against a judge order. Just so you know. The judge said, hell no. Trump said, oh, really? And he went and authorized and basically federalized the National Guard from Texas to go into Portland, Oregon against the judge's order. Insane. So, just giving you guys the updates and giving you guys the facts, okay? No feelings, just facts on what's going on. Now, let me just tell you this too. Just so you know, Governor Pritzker has not been about it at all. He is not about this at all. Now we're hearing that Illinois is going to be, like I said earlier, is going to sue Trump, which is insane, And now we have Pritzker back on the mic to speak out about the National Guard being deployed in Chicago. So here we go. We're going to take a listen to all of this and then some. Hold on. Okay. Let's just get straight to the beginning. All right. I appreciate all y'all. Please make sure you hit that like button down below. Crush that subscribe button. This is absolutely crazy, but this is history forming right before our eyes. And this should concern every single last one of us as Americans, even us Puerto Ricans. Okay? Should concern us all. All right? Because this could be a foreshadowing of what could happen to other cities. Your city, my city. You just never know. Okay? Hold on to your butts. Let's see what he got to say. Hmm. Wait, you guys can't hear that? You guys can't hear that at all? Hold on. That's what I was asking. Can you guys hear the microphone? Hold on. That's very odd. Let me try that. Y'all can hear the microphone though, right? Right? Hold on. Let me just make sure. Hmm. Yeah, you guys can't hear that. That's crazy. Hold on. Hmm. Yeah, you guys can't hear that. That's crazy. Hold on. Y'all can hear my mic, so that's good. Let me try that again. Hit the number one. Let me know you guys can hear this. Hold on. What the hell is going on? Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. What the hell? What the hell is going on? All right. Let me just do this all over again. Let's try that again. Can y'all hear this? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Like I told you guys, I was having some technical issues. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Let me just figure this thing out. I might have to just reboot this thing. Or leave and just come back because I don't know what this is. This thing is tripping. Testing your speakers on StreamYard. You guys hear that music at all? Testing your speakers on StreamYard. Sounds like they're working. Have a great. Jesus. What is going on here? You heard the music, that ridiculous music? Okay, so you heard that. So you should be able to hear this. No sound? Jeez Louise. What is going on? What is going on? All right. I'm gonna have to Just refresh, okay? I'll be right back. I'll be back in a flash. Just let me refresh the page. Let me see if that works. Okay, I'm back. So you guys can hear me there, right? And let me see if I can get this back up. Let's see if that helped the situation. Let's try this crap again. Hit the number one. Let me know you guys can hear this. I'm just going to play, just press play. This is dumb. This is very, very dumb. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. I am going to have to, I'm just going to have to reboot this. Okay. I'm just going to have to reboot this. So just hold tight, guys. I got to reboot the computer. I don't know what's going on. Because everything is working on my end. I mean, I hear it, hold on. Let me just make sure something here real quick. Because this is very annoying. Yeah, I don't know why it's tripping like that. Okay. No, because I hear the sound. The sound is fine on my end. I hear the conversation. I'm just gonna have to hit the reboot. Okay. So that just doesn't make any sense. No, it's loud and clear. The volume's all the way up. Like I hear it loud and clear. Just give me a second. I'm just going to reboot this whole doggone thing, and I'll see you guys in 2 seconds. All right. Okay, I'm back. Give me a second, guys, because I have to get at least that back real quick. Um, man, that's so stupid. I apologize for the for any of this crap. Okay. I figured this would be, I didn't know that my computer was gonna be tripping like that. 2 seconds, y'all. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me try this again. I'm hoping that everything's good to go. Just if you hear like, noise, okay, from here, because I'm not going to talk. just hit the number 1. Let me know. Okay. I apologize for the delay. Well, there's no sound on here. Hold on. Okay. He's not. What?
They need to stop inciting.
Okay. Hold on.
Since the beginning of this invasion,
can you hear that?
Families have been snatched up off the streets or removed from their homes, zip-tied and detained for hours, including especially U.S. citizens and legal residents of our state. And in the words of CBP Chief Patrol Agent Greg Bavino,
cool, let's go.
They're being chosen by how they look. Peaceful protesters have been hit with tear gas and shot with rubber bullets.
All right, let's
Journalists simply reporting the facts on the ground have been targeted and arrested. U.S. citizens, including children, have been traumatized and detained. This escalation of violence is targeted and intentional and premeditated. The Trump administration is following a playbook: cause chaos, create fear and confusion, make it seem like peaceful protesters are a mob by firing gas pellets and tear gas canisters at them. Why? To create the pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act so that he can send military troops to our city. He wants to justify and normalize the presence of armed soldiers under his direct command. I want to take you through the steps that he's taken to follow the playbook and show how it is playing out real time here in Illinois. When I first heard reports of Trump's plan to send armed military troops into our streets, more than 100 elected officials, business leaders, clergy, law enforcement, educators, and community organizations gathered on August 25th to send an unequivocal message to Donald Trump. We don't want troops on the streets of Chicago. There was never an insurrection or an invasion on the ground that justified the deployment of the military to our American city. We stood out there on a beautiful day at River Point Park to make that point. Donald Trump's deranged depiction of Chicago as a hellhole, a war zone, and the worst and most dangerous city in the world was just complete BS. He clearly has decided to declare war on a great American city that has the lowest homicide rate in 60 years, in a state that has record employment and near record tourism. And he's done it for some unspoken reason. I spent the days and weeks following that out and about in our communities, in Bronzeville, in Austin, in Little Village, Berwyn, South Shore, and others, walking and talking and listening to real Chicagoans and local business owners, something Donald Trump, Greg Bavino, Tom Homan, and Kristi Noem have never bothered to do. No insurrections, no invasions. The folks in the neighborhoods do not want armed troops marching in their streets. When it comes to public safety, they want civilian law enforcement when they need them, and jobs, and after-school programs for kids in the neighborhoods. They do not want Donald Trump to occupy their communities. Then the Trump invasion began. Since ICE and CBP announced their operations on September 8th, our people have been subjected to violence, intimidation, and harassment. They have struck fear in our communities, including notably fear in the hearts of U.S. citizens. Trump and the thuggery that his agents have brought has actively made us less safe. Less than a week later, on September 12th, ICE shot and killed a man in Franklin Park, a nearby suburb of Chicago. His name was Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. Reports say that he had just dropped his kids off at daycare and was headed to work. Shortly after that incident, ICE issued a statement justifying the killing, saying that the federal agent was seriously injured, sustained multiple injuries, and was dragged a significant distance. Immediately, we were left with more questions than answers. And frankly, the story just didn't add up. I demanded a full accounting into the facts of the situation. The community was rightfully distraught. Even Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum demanded answers. The facts are coming out, and they are raising even more questions. The Chicago Sun-Times obtained body camera footage from Franklin Park PD. The agent said on camera his injuries were nothing major and that he was dragged a little bit. As a reminder, DHS said that the agent was seriously injured, sustained multiple injuries, and was dragged a significant distance. His children, Silverio's children, have now been left without a father, and they and the public deserve to know the truth. There's been zero accountability or transparency from ICE or the administration. Last week, federal agents dressed in camouflage gear conducted a military-style raid on an apartment building in South Shore, a neighborhood of Chicago. They brought Black Hawk military helicopters and more than 100 agents in full tactical gear. Even though it was supposedly a very dangerous and important mission, they brought dozens of cameras and set them up so that they could film their attack on the building in HD for social media. See for yourself.
Show it. Come on. Yeah, that's crazy. Let's keep it a bean. That's a little crazy. They made like a little like hype / recruitment video. That is crazy. That's crazy. Oh, damn. We are living in some wild times, y'all. Oh, it is such a flex. That is such a freaking flex. Come join us. Be a part of the movement. ICE. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's some propaganda too, for sure. Nuck and fuss.
So even though they documented the raid, their propaganda video conveniently left out important facts.
We live in some wild times.
In the dead of night, and seemingly for the cameras, armed federal agents emerged from the Black Hawk helicopters, rappelling onto the roof of that apartment building. According to media reports, the agents ransacked multiple apartments and detained almost everyone in the building, including U.S. citizens and children who had done nothing wrong. Witnesses told reporters that federal officers zip-tied the hands of people, including children and seniors. Some, including U.S. citizens, were detained in the back of vans for hours. Seemingly proud of this shameful treatment of innocent people, they recorded it, and Kristi Noem posted the video, bragging about the operation. Since we sat through that propaganda, I think it's important to hear directly from members of the community who experienced this takeover of the building.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them dip tied to each other. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Watson
F them kids.
Trucks, the military-style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors say.
All right, let's move on. No one can hear it, although ABC 7 gets credit.
They had a big 15-inch chainsaw with a round blade on it, cutting this fence down. We're under siege. We're being invaded. our own military.
I talked about that in the short as well, guys.
Help the U.S. Border Patrol carry out
Crazy.
targeted immigration enforcement operation in this area, and they say they have been supporting these efforts at the direction of the U.S. Attorney General.
Wow.
Imagine being a child awakened in the middle of the night by a Black Hawk helicopter landing on your roof. Imagine an armed stranger entering your home and forcibly removing you from your bed, zip tying your hands, separating you from your family, and detaining you in a dark van for hours. This didn't happen in some faraway authoritarian regime. It happened right here in Chicago, right here in the United States of America. The reports of excessive use of force against children is unconscionable. And the way many innocent residents who lived in the building were treated is appalling. In response, I've directed the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services and the Illinois Department of Human Services to provide support and to evaluate the treatment of the children who were traumatized. If they find suspected abuse or neglect by federal agents, the state will be taking every possible action to hold those individuals accountable. Now, I'd like to turn to some examples of the more egregious actions that we've seen from ICE, CBP, and the other federal agents. Over the past several weeks, it has been made abundantly clear that Trump's invasion force is not going after the worst of the worst, like he said. They're harassing and detaining many people based only on the color of their skin. Tamale vendors, delivery people, people looking for work at Home Depot, and even families just out and about enjoying themselves on a sunny day. Dasha Ramirez, an 8-year-old girl, and her family were detained by federal agents while enjoying a day in Millennium Park. Witnesses saw her crying and clutching her doll. Honestly, what danger did they represent? What is it that they presented that was so awful? And how did detaining them make anyone safer? Federal agents have been openly carrying assault rifles downtown, racially profiling people, and based on that, demanding proof of citizenship and snatching people up in our neighborhoods without a judicial warrant. All of it rightfully has Illinoisans very upset. In the small suburban village of Broadview, with a population of 8,000, federal agents have turned 2 blocks of protest areas into a war zone by firing chemical agents and tear gas at peaceful protesters. They've used rubber bullets and flashbangs. Agents reportedly unholstered their guns and pointed them at peaceful protesters. They arrested a journalist who was a bystander, and they fired a chemical weapon at a CBS reporter in her car. They even detained Juan Munoz, an Oak Park trustee, and they're detaining people for extended periods in a facility not designed for that purpose. After seeing this, I could not, in good faith, allow federal agents to continue inciting people who were there to express their First Amendment rights. At the request of the Broadview Police Department and with the help of the Cook County Sheriff's Office, we sent backup to ensure people could safely express their rights while also protecting nearby Broadview residents who have had ICE and CBP operating in their neighborhoods in an aggressive fashion and interfering with their daily lives. As someone who has myself peacefully protested since I was a kid, I understand the sentiments on the ground from some of the advocates, but I want to say this: peaceful protesters are welcome. Federal agents who abuse their position to terrorize Illinoisans and incite violence are not welcome. They aren't receiving any orders from Trump to cease and desist their aggressive behavior. Remember, they answer only to Trump, not to the people of Illinois. In case there's any doubt about that, Noam, Bovino, and their agents have been escalating the situation outside the ICE facility and inhibiting the Broadview police from doing their jobs. At one point, state police asked CBP leaders for time to move the crowd to avoid any unnecessary confrontations. Rather than give state police time to protect the protesters and the ICE agents, Kristi Noem chose to drive her motorcade through the protesters to create clashes. Shortly after, Bovino came out to threaten mass arrests. These stories are only scratching the surface. While all of this happened, we got reports that tear gas was unnecessarily thrown by agents at people on a busy street in Logan Square, right near an elementary school and a grocery store. A Chicago alderman at a hospital asked masked officers some questions about someone that they detained, and she was arrested for it.
Learn your laws. He has constitutional rights.
No.
He has constitutional rights. Do you have a sign?
No, you need to leave.
For me?
Turn around. You're turn around and leave.
He is under.
I'm going to arrest you if you
arrest.
not leave.
You are going to be placed under arrest.
Turn around. Do you have a signed judicial warrant for him?
Can somebody go in the hallway and get Lisa for me, please? Can somebody go in the hallway and get Lisa for me? This is an older person who's being under arrest. I need my other staffer who's in the hallway by registration to come here, please.
You are hurting.
What?
Can somebody get my staffer, please?
This is a hospital. Do you have a signed judicial warrant for him? I am asking. I am asking. I did not touch you.
I told you to leave.
I did not touch you.
Now you're under arrest for impeding.
I did not touch you. I asked you if you had a signed judicial warrant for him. It is very simple. It is very simple. That man has constitutional rights. I did not touch you. It is a public space. I am not trespassing. I am asking you. Do you have a signed judicial warrant? I am asking. Do you have a signed judicial warrant for him? It is a question, sir. You are an agent. You are a federal agent.
We do not need a
You are a federal agent. I am an elected official, and I'm asking. Do you have a signed judicial warrant? I'm the alderman of this.
Can you keep recording? I need a call.
That was
If
crazy.
arresting an elected official for peacefully asking questions isn't a demonstration of authoritarianism, then what is? I refuse to let Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino continue on this march toward autocracy. Their plan all along has been to cause chaos, and then they can use that chaos to consolidate Donald Trump's power. They think they can fool us all into thinking that the way to get out of this crisis that they created is to give them free rein. Well, that plan will only work if we let it. The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noem's thugs the hell out of Chicago. I'm not afraid. I am not afraid, and I won't back down. Now, before I turn the podium over, the court here has given U.S. Department of Justice 2 days to respond in writing to the state's TRO motion. They have to respond by midnight Wednesday night, and the next hearing will be on Thursday. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to our terrific Attorney General, Kwame Raoul.
Okay, so before we go over to Kwame Raoul, we gotta talk about that. That was crazy. Obviously the footage that we've been seeing, the stuff that we've been, looking at and all that. I mean, we've all been seeing some of this stuff over the weekend. I didn't see that last video though. That one, I'm going to be honest, that one is very, very new for me. But this is absolutely crazy. Nonetheless, agree to disagree, I guess. That last video was insane. Now, I will say this, though, too. Obviously, it was what we're seeing. It was, I guess you could say it was taken out of context. Some people will say, oh, we didn't see the full interaction, blah, blah, blah. Maybe, something else happened before they started recording, right? But still, no matter what, from what we saw in that video, someone just asking or saying, hey, what laws did he break? He has constitutional rights. What's up with this? And then that person getting arrested just for asking questions, that's messed up. And yeah, John D, I get it. Mind your own business, that kind of thing. I get it. Right? What's the, no good deed goes unpunished type stuff. But at the same time, that's doesn't matter. Somebody was just asking a question. It didn't look like that person was being that individual was being, violent or volatile or anything of that sort. Okay, that was wrong. Of all the things, that was wrong. All right, asking questions should not get you detained. For asking questions, that's messed up. Okay, we can all agree on that. Imagine if that was you just asking questions. It's your friend. Say something about on something that you're not for, that you're just totally against. You think is unfair, and suddenly your friend or someone you love is getting detained or thrown somewhere, and you're going, "Hey, why? Why is this person getting thrown? That's my boy. Why is he getting thrown in?" Right? Then suddenly you get locked up. What the hell? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That person should not have been detained like that. Should not have. Real talk. Let's go. Let's continue. Oh my God. Come on. Come on now. Come on. Oh, this thing is tripping again. All right. I'm just going to play it. StreamYard's tripping, guys.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As we all know, the president has for some time been threatening to deploy the National Guard into Chicago and into the state of Illinois. And that's significant. And he's been threatening to militarize our streets, and in many ways has done so. This morning, I filed a lawsuit challenging the unlawful deployment of the National Guard troops to Illinois, including the Illinois National Guard, the call for the Texas National Guard. And my lawyers have just, as the governor updated you, were just in court arguing these actions. We're seeking a temporary restraining order, and we'll hear from the government from the federal government within a couple of days. The American people, regardless of where they reside,
This is insane, y'all.
should not live under the threat of occupation by the United States military, particularly for the reason that their city or state leadership has fallen out of the president's political favor. I said we would be prepared to respond to any unlawful deployment, and that moment has come, and we have responded. In the more than 40 lawsuits we have filed challenging the Trump administration's unlawful actions, we've explained that the executive branch has to follow the law. A president cannot go beyond the authority granted by Congress with regards to deploying the National Guard. The militia clauses of the United States Constitution give Congress sole authority to decide what factual circumstances allow the president to federalize the National Guard. The Posse Comitatus Act prohibits members of the military from engaging in civilian law enforcement. Just last month, a judge in California recognized that fact. Our local law enforcement have shown time and time again that they are effective at maintaining peace throughout Illinois. And the 10th Amendment preserves the state's sovereignty and right to do so. And there is no need or justification for a militarized response to anything going on in Chicago. It is unfair to National Guardsmen. It is unfair to local law enforcement. And it is certainly unfair to the law-abiding citizens of Illinois who do not want to be subject to military occupation. The only situations that are out of control are certain ICE and Customs Border Patrol officers who are engaged in shocking overreach in an attempt to create a crisis. In fact, President Trump's own statements over time demonstrate that this is not at all about an emergency. He said specifically that he wants to use American cities as military training grounds. He has threatened using a meme, Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. He has disparaged and threatened to deploy in Chicago for weeks. This is not about an emergency. This is a political targeting, utilizing our military. This is not about the federal government being unable to do their job through normal channels. This is about a president's unconstitutional desire to take the unprecedented action of militarizing American cities. But just this weekend, a judge in Oregon issued a temporary restraining order stopping the administration similar actions in Oregon. As the judge said in the ruling, this is a nation of constitutional law, not martial law. Donald Trump's derogatory comments about the city of Chicago started even before he took office. Without any official communication with the state, Operation Midway Blitz began bringing federal immigration teams in unconstitutional detentions and raids that have caused mass panic and protest and injuries. And the shooting of a Franklin Park resident and father during an attempted warrantless vehicle stop by federal agents. Throughout the month of September, it is federal agents who have escalated tactics, with the head of the Customs and Border Patrol operations in Chicago threatening that ICE would bring a shit show to Broadview, which is what they have created. It was not until September 26 that a memo from DHS was sent to the Department of Defense requesting 100 troops to be sent to protect ICE facilities in Illinois, presumably in reference to Broadview. That memo was emailed to a member of the Illinois National Guard on September 29th, requesting troops to integrate with federal law enforcement operations. The state received no further communication until the morning of October 4th, a Saturday. At that time, Adjutant General Rodney Boyd received a call from the U.S. military asking them to start the process of calling up 300 members of the Illinois National Guard. It was followed by a memo stating that the president has directed the mobilization of at least 300 members of the Illinois National Guard to protect the federal personnel, functions, and property in Illinois, with no further specifics. The memo explicitly stated that if the state did not agree to the request within 2 hours, the Secretary of the Department of Defense would federalize and deploy as many National Guard troops as he wants. Because there is no public safety need or other emergency requiring the National Guard intervention, Illinois again declined to voluntarily call up troops that we don't need or want. Saturday night, General Boyd received a memo purporting to call the Illinois National Guard into federal service under Section 12406 of the U.S. Code, even over the objection of the governor. The stated reason for the order is to protect ICE and other U.S. government personnel and federal property. They provided no information about threat assessments or planned operations that were referenced in the memo. I'm here to say that the president's actions are illegal. The president has failed to establish that any of the legal prerequisites exist for his efforts to mobilize the National Guard's troops here. No president can flout the Constitution. I've said we will not hesitate to fight any unlawful deployment, and I want to make sure to make clear that our prayer for relief includes barring the threatened deployment of the National Guard from the state of Texas or anywhere else. Last night, we became aware of an undated memo from Secretary Hexas to Adjutant General of Texas, federalizing the Texas National Guard for service in Illinois, Oregon, and other locations. Deployment of the military to Illinois is unlawful and unconstitutional, no matter where these forces come from. I want to lift up the hardworking lawyers in the Attorney General's office who worked at all times of the night and the wee morning. We were communicating at ungodly hours to put together this complaint. As we speak, the team is just coming from arguing for a temporary restraining order. These same lawyers and others on my staff, as well as on the governor's staff and the city corporation council staff, toiled over the past year responding to numerous threats. And our lawyers have, as you know, filed over 40 lawsuits. These lawyers are the true American heroes. Collectively, we will continue to fight on behalf of the citizens of Illinois and the American people at large. With that, I'd like to pass it on to our mayor.
Okay, Mayor Johnson back at the podium again.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Thank you to the governor. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm grateful for all of the elected leaders that are here, our congressional delegation, as well as our Cook County Board President, which you'll hear from shortly. But today I stand with all of our elected officials and community leaders in denouncing President Trump's declared war on Chicago and Illinois. I'm proud the city of Chicago is joining the state of Illinois in our lawsuit against the Trump administration's unlawful deployment of the National Guard in our city and in our state. I've promised that the city of Chicago will do everything in our power to protect the constitutional rights of all Chicagoans. This lawsuit is the latest demonstration of our commitment. Let me be absolutely clear. The president is not sending military troops to Chicago to keep us safe. We know this because Trump has a history of targeting Chicago. He issued a series of executive orders attempting to defund so-called sanctuary jurisdictions and sue the city over our welcoming city ordinance. A federal judge recently dismissed that lawsuit, and the courts have prevented the Trump administration from restricting the city's funding based on our local laws. Now that the president has lost those cases, he is changing tactics to send in the Guard. He has stated his intentions outright to use our neighborhoods as training grounds for our military. He told them that they are, and they must be, prioritized in order to, in his words, defending the homeland against the invasion from within in American cities run by, quote, radical left Democrats, specifically including the city of Chicago. The only radical is a president trying to deploy National Guard from across the country into our city. We do not need or want the National Guard to police our streets. We want to continue our holistic strategies and partnerships that have led to the safest summer in the city of Chicago in 60 years. Not only will a National Guard deployment make our communities less safe, but it will also have a chilling effect on economic activity in Chicago, as we have seen in other jurisdictions where the president deployed the Guard. And furthermore, deployment of the National Guard will impose costs on CPD and other city departments who will have to respond to protest activity and any issues that may arise from the deployment. This is wrong, full stop. With today's litigation, we send a message to the president. Chicago will not be used as a political prop. Chicago will not be intimidated, and we will not be silent. And to our residents, know that we are fighting for you and using every legal avenue to protect your rights, dignity, and your humanity. And lastly, I want to be clear. When we talk about protecting our democracy, we are not just speaking about the right to vote every couple of years. We are speaking about something much deeper and much more profound. We go back to the labor leader, A. Philip Randolph's definition of democracy, and he said, a community is democratic only when the humblest and weakest person can enjoy the highest civil, economic, and social rights that the biggest and most powerful possess. And that means that whether you are a billionaire or a thousandaire or a hundredaire, you deserve the exact same rights. The Constitution applies to all of our residents. This president wants to remake a country by the ultra-rich and for the ultra-rich, and he wants to use the military and his private militarized force to repress the rights of poor and working people. We prefer a government that is of, by, and for the people. That's what we are fighting to protect. And thank you again to the governor, the attorney general, and to our congressional delegation and our county leaders, and to all of our partners that have demonstrated a great deal of unity and courage and persistence in this moment. Our city has faced tough times before, and every time we stood strong because we stood together. Let's continue to work together to protect our democracy and to fight for the future of our country. With that, please welcome to the podium Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm grateful to be here with the governor, with the attorney general, with the mayor, and members of our congressional delegation. Jesus Garcia, Jan Schakowsky, Mike Quigley, Raja Krishnamurthy, Brad Schneider, Robin Kelly, and Danny Davis. Thank you all. For generations, our neighborhoods have been built and rebuilt by working people who stand together in hard times. We're not strangers to struggle, and we're also not people who will be intimidated. The Trump administration's authorization of National Guard troops to enter Cook County and Chicago is a dangerous and reckless abuse of power. It's an affront to local governance, a violation of trust, and an insult to residents and local law enforcement officers who are working every day to make this city safer and more just. Slamming human beings to the ground, dragging them in the street. This is not immigration enforcement. It's intimidation. It's fear tactics. It's an illegal abuse of power dressed up as law and order. The truth is that our local leaders, our local police, our community organizations, and our residents have been working for years to reimagine what safety means. It's about building trust, investing in prevention, and healing the wounds that have festered far too long. We're working to replace fear with fairness. And this administration would rather send troops than send real help. We know what this looks like. Deploying the National Guard to Chicago sends a chilling message. It tells us that standing up to the Trump administration is something to be crushed, not heard. That local voices do not matter. The federal government decides to flex its power. This is not democracy. It's authoritarianism, plain and simple. I stand with Governor Pritzker, Attorney General Raoul, Mayor Johnson, and every local leader who rejects this federal overreach. Cook County will continue to stand firm in defense of our residents and our democratic values. Cook County will be filing an amicus brief in full support of the state of Illinois' lawsuit to block the Trump administration from deploying federalized National Guard troops in our communities. The federal government has been extremely clear that they're taking this action not to assist Illinois and local officials, but to use Chicago as a training ground for the military to fight what they dub the war from within. This is direct punishment of state and local governments' exercise of their sovereign right to enact constitutional laws and ordinances.
Understandable, Grace.
We believe in accountability. We believe in community solutions. and we believe that local problems are best solved by local people. We are a proud, diverse, and resilient county. We fought for decades to build a government rooted in equity and inclusion. And we will not allow our efforts to be undermined by a federal government that chooses confrontation over collaboration. And now I'd like to bring to the podium Congressperson Jesus Garcia.
Thank you to all the leaders of Illinois and Chicagoland, Cook County that are assembled here, demonstrating once again that Chicago and Illinois are places with strong shoulders, and that we will shoulder any injustice and we will tackle any injustice that comes our way as we live this very dangerous moment in our history. The President of the United States has turned the power of government against its own people. In my community, ground zero for these attacks, ICE has created a constant state of siege. People worry about their presence and their tactics every single hour of the day and night. We've seen masked ICE agents shoot into cars, engage in chemical warfare with bystanders, and even assault parents in front of their children. My grandson, who I am raising with my wife, and my wife are terrified. My grandson talks about it every little while, and he wants to know if his classmates will be safe, if their parents will be deported. But it's also never been just about immigrants. It's about controlling every one of our communities, brown, Asian, Black, and everyone who is Chicagoland and Illinois. These are not actions of a democracy. These are actions of a tyrant. I took an oath when I became a citizen 46 years ago, and again when I was sworn in as a member of the United States Congress, and my loyalty is sworn to the U.S. Constitution, and only that. And my oath compels me to be here today with our leaders. Because when a president tries to federalize the National Guard, when he ignores court orders, when his agents break the law and brutalize our community, he is not protecting the country, he's waging war against the country. This lawsuit is not just about legal arguments, it's about accountability, it's about whether or not we'll allow tyranny to take root on our soil. Donald Trump is pushing the boundaries and daring to believe that the courts, the law, the Constitution no longer matter. We cannot stand for that. Don't lose the faith. We must fight as if the courts still matter, because they do. We must stand as if the law has meaning, because it does. And we must resist together, because only together can we defeat the assault on our communities. Chicago will not be intimidated. Illinois will not be silenced. History will remember where we stood in this moment, whether we stood tall or we shrank in fear. Today, we stand tall. Brevemente. Estamos viviendo en uno de los capítulos más peligrosos en la historia de nuestro país. El presidente de los Estados Unidos ha convertido el poder del gobierno en una arma en contra del pueblo. En mi comunidad, el epicentro de estos ataques, los encapuchados han creado un estado de sitio, disparando a carros, lanzando gases contra vecinos y asaltando a padres en frente de sus niños. Esto no se trata de controlar a nuestras comunidades, no son acciones de una democracia. Cuando yo tomé el juramento de ciudadano hace 46 años y después como miembro del Congreso, mi lealtad fue a la Constitución de esta nación. Y por eso estamos aquí unidos todos nosotros. Trump quiere nacionalizar a la Guardia Nacional e ignorar órdenes judiciales y permite que sus agentes violen la ley. Eso no es proteger al país, es hacerle la guerra. Chicago no se dejará intimidar. Illinois no será silenciado. Hoy nos paramos firmes, declaramos que el intento de ser dictador no ganará, que la democracia no morirá bajo nuestra mirada y que el poder del pueblo superará el poder de cualquier presidente. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Happy to take questions from members of the media. Tina.
Here we go.
Obviously, this was issued by a mayor who's got the ability to issue executive orders. And she is deeply concerned about the people who live in Broadview and how they've been ill affected by the challenges of her in her community as a result of the way ICE is behaving. So I know that it was aimed at that. I can't speak to whether it would affect the lawsuit or I know this is about, though, keeping the people of Broadview from being targeted or being unsafe in their communities. I mean, these are folks who are just trying to get to the grocery store, take their kids to school. They live in a community that never had this kind of unrest until Donald Trump decided to do this. Yes. This gentleman here, or sorry, Olivia, and I'll get the gentleman next to you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got to fix this audio.
As I said, and I apologize, Olivia, I didn't get your message.
Oh, come on. Fix this audio.
Place over time.
There
and
we go.
Facts that evolve over time,
Christ.
including, as I mentioned earlier, us becoming aware of the notion of deploying the Texas National Guard last night. We didn't know that Saturday. We didn't know that Sunday morning. And so facts evolve.
I'll explain everything in a
So we
second,
filed
Valerie.
a lawsuit, not in a rush to just say that we're responding, but we work hard to make sure it's right. It's right by the law. It's right by the facts, and we file it when it's ready. I've known of talks about the Illinois National Guard for weeks, but it was not ripe for filing. Your interpretation from perhaps a journalistic point of view is different from that from a legal point of view. I don't want to file a lawsuit that's summarily dismissed because it's not ripe for filing.
Mayor Johnson allowed to answer a question? Mayor Johnson?
I just want to, can I just repeat? I want to make sure that you understand the ripeness of it is very, very important, that there are certain triggers that allow you to file a lawsuit. I can't, in anticipation of one of you taking some action without any evidence of you doing it, actually file a lawsuit against you, nor could the state of Illinois file a lawsuit against the president of the United States or the federal government or ICE without the actual calling up of those troops. So it's when did I receive notice? And remember that Oregon had to go back into court to
they did
extend that TRO to the Texas and California National Guard that were being
That's
called
crazy.
up. In Illinois, we wanted to make sure we had that covered on the first time out.
That's crazy.
Yes, sorry.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So, obviously ISP has been out there. Do you expect that ISP presence will continue? Do you expect, if the National Guard does go to Broadview, does begin assisting ICE, that local law enforcement will pull back further? What do you see the role of local law enforcement if the National Guard?
the role of local law enforcement to protect the people who are protesting and their First Amendment rights, the people of Broadview that we've been called up by the Broadview police. So that's their role, is to back up local police and make sure that the people in that area are kept safe. That doesn't change because there are federalized Illinois National Guard. They're under the orders of the President of the United States, and the Illinois State Police is under the control of the state government and of me. Jacob.
I've heard you describe today the presence of the federal law enforcement here as illegal and unconstitutional. You have said it's a pretext for the invocation of the Insurrection Act. You have said you will use all authorities at your disposal as the governor of the state to push back on this. And I just heard you talk about your control of the state police here. Beyond legal challenges, what does that push back against the potential invocation of the Insurrection Act look like? Would you order the state police to arrest or detain federal officials or stand in the way of federal law?
No, we follow the law in Illinois. We follow the law. Unlike Donald Trump, we follow the law. We have made sure that, again, under state law, that we've provided funding for programs so that people know their rights, so that they can protect themselves. That's first and foremost. We've made sure that we've pleaded with the public to take action by using their phones to videotape anything and everything that they see. We want to make sure that that's recorded. It's why we were able to even show some video here today. And again, beyond going to court, we have encouraged people to shop at small businesses, to help out your neighbors. We provided support for those children who've been traumatized and for their families by those attacks. But it is the courts in the end that are going to have to rule on whether or not Donald Trump has the ability to call up National Guard from another state or from our state. The job of our state police, the mission that they've been given, is to keep the people who are in Broadview and who are protesting safe from ICE, who have been firing gas pellets at people when they've been peacefully protesting.
Does it mean to physically stop ICE agents from doing those types of activities?
Again, we follow the law. There are federal agents following what their orders are. We have our state police following my orders and the orders of the director of the state police. Shia.
Government shutdown and the debate about health care for undocumented immigrants is somehow helping escalate this war on immigration? Is it all connected or not?
No, the only connection that you could ever find in that regard is that Donald Trump likes to go after Democrats, political opponents. You know, he's called the Democratic Party a leftist. His organization, his White House has called the Democratic Party a terrorist organization. He is attacking anybody that's opposed to him. So that's the only connection I can find. Otherwise, the reality is that he's just going after everybody that he views as standing in his way of imposing his authoritarian rule. Taman.
The nation rhetoric, the Civil War rhetoric.
The police superintendent said today that he doesn't have the power to arrest federal agents. So how can you enforce the executive order from this morning?
The executive orders are about ensuring that we are protecting the people of Chicago and defending our democracy. I've given very direct instructions to ensure that all of our sister agencies and our city departments are doing just that, upholding the local ordinances and, again, protecting and defending the rights of every single resident. You know, as far as, being able to enforce the measures that we have put forward, one, we're going to use every single tool that's available to us. And as I've stated before, you just heard the governor express it as well. This battle is going to take place in the courts and in our communities. Here's what's most important here is that the people in this city, in this state, and throughout the county is that we're all united around protecting the fundamental right to be able to have a democracy. And that's going to simply mean that we're going to have to organize on the ground. This is not just simply about a battle between authority. This is about making sure that the 700 people who showed up on the north side of Chicago to organize, to build the resistance, that's a clear example of how the organizing on the ground plays an incredible role in defending people. It's going to take everything: litigation, executive orders, legislation, and I believe most importantly, the people of this city and county and the state and throughout the country pushing back against tyranny. Thank you there.
Calling for a civil war, causing violence, is your civil war language?
Yeah, let me be clear. Every instance that you're talking about is something that was incited by a federal agent. Everything you're talking about. So just to remind everybody, this is the pretext. They are creating an environment in which they're inciting people to do something more than just peacefully protest. When you're firing at people who are doing nothing more than yelling their First Amendment rights, right, saying what they believe, or holding signs, that's inciting people. So we're trying to make sure that we're standing between ICE officials, CBP, let's not forget them, officials, and the peaceful protesters, so that ICE and CBP are not firing at them, and that we're doing our best to protect them. That's what we can do. Now, we will record everything. We are trying to record as many things as we can, make sure there is video and testimony to what these federal agents are doing. And the federal government, normally, there are inspectors general, there are investigators that will investigate a circumstance of a federal agent breaking the law. If that doesn't take place, and we have evidence to back up if they do, but we are doing those. And again, I gave you the example of DCFS and the Department of Human Services doing their job to look at those records and to talk to the people who have been affected. There are also private attorneys, I want to add, who are going after this, because there is also private right of action for people. So in addition to the work that the Attorney General is doing, there are organizations like the ACLU who are filing lawsuits against.
Sound went out again. I don't know what's going on. I can kind of hear him. Fix the audio. Yeah, the sound engineer is losing their mind. Yeah.
Starting as early as tomorrow. Any response to that? Texas troops being on their way, according to the Trump attorney?
Well, first they should stay the hell out of Illinois. I've been very clear about that. We do not need troops from some other place being sent into the state of Illinois, or any troops, to be honest with you.
It's almost over.
So I have to say, I have great affection for the Illinois National Guard. They do excellent work. They are trained to protect not only the state of Illinois, but the United States. And they are sent abroad to do that. They are trained as soldiers. And instead, they're being conscripted into something that would make them something like a police officer. And yet they don't have the training to back that up. They have amazing training, but not
What is up with this person?
on the street making arrests or doing crowd control.
And I guess along with that, any message that you would send to Governor Abbott?
I have. I've been very clear to Governor Abbott, not the first time, as you know, but I have been very clear that he should withdraw his approval of the president calling up his Texas National Guard. And again, Governor Abbott.
And then this stops right there on this one. But hold on, I'm going to another one because that's you should know better, NBC. But hold on. because that was. It might. Hold on one second. They might all cut out at the same time, which is weird. I don't know why, but I'm trying to see if he says more because that sound just cut out, right? So let's see. There it is. Okay. So then they stopped. Now it's over. Okay. Oh my gosh. What an interesting, what a very interesting press conference. First and foremost, we can all agree this is about to get very, very crazy. All right. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure of something here real quick. Crazy. All right.
Organizations.
Still no sound on that one either. That's insane. Okay. That's crazy that this is frustrating because this program is losing its mind, basically. Okay. My streaming app is just not being friendly. I don't know why it's not being friendly, but it's being a very, very big pain in the butt. All right. So it's tripping right now, just so y'all know. But here's the thing. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. So they were showing everything on here. Now, here it is. Now, of course, there's no sound on this, just so you know. The last part he's basically said at the very, very end is that he said Texas National Guard should stay the hell out of Illinois. That's what he basically said. And he goes, hey, I got to go. Thanks. Got to go. See you when I see you. And chucked up the deuces and he left. All right. So just so you know. So there's a lot going on here, guys. There's a whole lot going on. This is crazy, for lack of a better term. And here it is. Here it is. It's not just whether you are for it or against it. It's just crazy all the way around. What's going on in Chicago right now is crazy because it's not. There's things that are being said, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to play these videos for you because I'm having audio. Like this app is acting a fool right now. We'll see. I'm going to try. Okay, we're going to give it the good old college try here in a little bit, but it's tripping. I don't know why. Hopefully they fix whatever's going on. StreamYard, figure it out. All right, but nonetheless, what's going on here? Regardless of what side of the fence, regardless of what team you bat for, this is all bad. Okay, all of it is bad. And I'm wondering what's going to happen here. What is the future here? How will this transpire? What will come of this in the near future? Because again, you got Illinois basically saying gets to step in. Okay, they're basically telling the National Guard from other states to F off. Okay, bye, go. We don't want you here. And you already know that Texas Governor Greg Abbott is already about it. He's like, let's go. He's all in. Go ahead. Take whatever you say, Mr. President. Whatever you need. Take my National Guard and send them up to those blue states and set this place right. Here's the thing. This could very well get very crazy out here in these Chicago streets because you don't think that Trump's going to deploy those National Guards regardless of this press conference? You don't think he's still just going to have it happen? Whether the Governor Pritzker goes up on a podium and says, stop right where you are, turn around, do not come up here. You really think that? I'm telling you right now, it's not going to stop Trump. Hell no, it's not. It's definitely not going to stop Trump. If Trump wants something done, he gets it done. Like I said, he was trying to find loopholes and other ways to get the National Guard up there. Let's not forget, he was also sending the National Guard from other states to get into Portland because the judge was basically blocking him from using Oregon's National Guard to be deployed in Portland. So he's like, okay, well, technically you said Oregon National Guard. Doesn't mean that I can't take the National Guard from somewhere else and bring it over there. You just said Portland. You just said Oregon National Guard. Okay? And then this is the new update. This is what happened last night as all of us were starting to go to sleep. Okay? The judge had to basically send out an extended temporary restraining order to stop from any other state's National Guards to be deployed in Portland, Oregon. I'm not kidding. Late last night, the same judge, by the way, a Trump-appointed judge, same judge that stopped Oregon's National Guard to be deployed into Portland, that same one had to extend the order to other states to make sure that Trump doesn't go, oh, okay, I bet. So no Texas? What about Missouri, though? Let's send in the Missouri National Guard real quick. Oh, no, not Missouri. You see what I'm saying? So now it's like, yo, you cannot send anyone, any state's National Guard to Portland. Don't even try. And guess what? Trump's still doing it. It's not stopping him. So again, this is some wild stuff, y'all. This is some wild stuff. We got some things to talk about because, again, there has been other things that have happened. Like, we need to talk about this ICE-free zone state, which ICE-free zone executive order that was made, okay, which is also crazy and insane, okay? This is insane in the membrane. This is also very wild. And again, like I said, this could be a modern version of like a CW. And no, I'm not talking about the frog going, the WB, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about, I don't know, One Tree Hill, okay, Parenthood, and I don't know what was on CW, okay? Dawson's Creek, okay? I ain't talking about no Arrow, all right? I ain't talking about no Superman movie. We talking about that civil. This could be a modern version of that. If we don't get our ish together, if we don't find a way to find unity in this situation, we could be in some serious trouble. Yeah, like reruns of the King of Queens, okay, and all of that, okay? We ain't talking about that frog. You get what I'm saying, right? We ain't talking about that. No teen dramas. We ain't talking about teen dramas. This is some serious stuff. I'm talking about that CW that everybody they mama on X keeps on talking about. I feel like Tim Pool says it every other week, it seems like. It's either WW3 is looming or it's the CW coming to get you. You see what I'm saying? Anybody notice that? Okay, maybe I'm the only one who's seen that. But anyway, it is very interesting nonetheless. We hear it all the time. The CW is coming. Get ready for it. Don't you see the rift that's going on in our country? Now we're seeing it more than ever now. Because again, he's looking at these two cities right now, just two of them. Okay? Just two. But this could also mean, what about these other blue cities? You think that Chicago and Portland, Oregon are the only blue cities in this country? No, there's plenty more. What about LA? What about everything else? Everywhere else, there are blue cities everywhere. If this happens and if it continues in this way, this could be very bad. And no, I'm not trying to fearmonger, so chill. I'm just trying to state a possibility. Because I'm not one who throws out the CW at all. I don't. But when it comes to this is not good. And how things are going, now you got ice-free zones, which, by the way, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. Don't worry, we're going to get into it. So Chicago Mayor Johnson, okay, he creates ice-free zones, okay? So for a while now, everyone's just going to have lukewarm sodas and beverages, okay? No more cocktails with ice cubes in it, all right? Just never mind. Just ice-free zones. That was a crappy joke. But ice-free zones, guys, okay? Everything's going to be lukewarm in Chicago. So they're trying to block these federal agents from the city, okay? But they're trying to block them from city property. This is interesting. Just hear me out. All right? So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signed an executive order Monday prohibiting federal immigration agents, ICE, from using city-owned property for immigration enforcement operations as the administration deploys the National Guard troops to Illinois. Now, let's continue, okay? Johnson established the ICE-free zones, referring to ICE as part of his Protecting Chicago initiative, rejecting Trump's crime crackdown and deportation rollout in the city. So he says today, no, I'm not going to do that to him, but he says today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. This is what Johnson said during a news conference today. Like I said, there's a lot that's been popping off with Chicago, baby. Damn. The order, he continues, establishes ICE-free zones. That means the city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. It still doesn't matter. It doesn't mean a dumb thing, though. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Hear me out. This doesn't mean anything. You mean to tell me that there's not going to be other places that they can go and put their, have their staging grounds or detainees, etc.? You don't think that there's other places that they can go and do this? You don't think that they can just rent more budget trucks? Yes, they were using budget trucks. I know somebody asked that earlier in the press conference when we were looking at the footage. Yeah, they were using mother-loving rental trucks to detain people, and that's how they were transporting these soldiers or, some of these agents, these ICE agents in and out. They're also using that as a way to detain these people. You really think, oh, God, can't use these government places, can't use these private businesses. You don't think that there's other businesses that are willing to open up and be like, get rid of these damn migrants? You don't think there's somebody out there going, yeah, you can use my spot? Shoot, go on, come on, baby. Wide open, homie. Huge warehouse. You can use it anytime you want, homie. It's right here, bro. Okay? America. Okay? MAGA. You don't think somebody's doing that? This doesn't really slow anything down. This isn't saying ICE free. That ICE is still going to go in and do their thing. Right? Unless this sounds so crazy, and maybe this is the situation, like it's a really demented game of tag. You know what I'm saying? And you got that spot where it's safety. You got to run and you got to put your hand on when you play tag with your friends, right? There's that safety spot where you got to put your hand on the doorknob, in the front of the house while you're playing tag, right? You're like, I'm safe, because I'm touching the doorknob, right? Like what? These illegal immigrants or whoever is being chased by ICE, all they got to do is run to a city property and they're safe. As soon as they run in there, like, I can't detain them in there. Damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get what I'm saying, right? This is not going to stop ICE from doing what they're doing. With all due respect, I just don't see it. As much as they're sitting there going, oh, yeah, you know, you're not allowed to go to any property. You can't hit up these parks, apparently, city properties. Okay? Anything like that, parks, etc. City properties. They cannot do anything. That is holy. This is like a freaking Highlander. Okay? You cannot fight on holy ground. You see what I'm saying? So what is going to happen? Everybody going to be busting ass to the city park and standing there going, nanny, nanny, boo, boo. You can't touch me here, buddy. ICE ain't going to stop. They're going to be like, get your ass over here. Really? There's no special force field that's going to stop people from, people from getting detained by ICE. It's not going to stop anything. So sure, you could do these ICE-free zones, but is it going to be effective? I doubt it. I really, really doubt it. Like I said, I really don't see it being like, you can't come over here. This is government property, buddy. No, they're just going to come right over them and be like, so I'm detaining your ass right now. Just saying. Okay? Just saying. And yeah, quesadilla. ICE is already breaking into people's homes. So we've already talked about that too, which is insane. Okay? It's insane, but they are breaking into people's homes. They're going into apartment complexes and they're raiding houses and apartment complexes, etc. They're going after people. Again, when you look at this ICE-free zone, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I know some of y'all are going to be like, yeah, Mayor Johnson, yeah, with the clapback, yes. But is it really going to do anything? It would have been a different situation if he said Chicago in all of its glory, all the way from the crack dens, all the way to the mansions, okay, and the high-rise buildings is an ICE-free zone. Do not even waste your time walking in this mug. Consider there being a dome over the city. But no, he's saying city properties and unwilling private businesses. And you really think all the private businesses are going to be unwilling? Like I said, there's plenty of people that are for this. Look at the poll at the top of the chat. There's plenty of people that are for this. And there's plenty of people that are against it. So I'm just saying. This is just very interesting. Okay? I'm very interested to see how this transpires, but I just don't think ICE-free zones is going to be enough. That's still going to get people arrested. That's still going to get people detained, I'm sorry, and taken into these budget trucks and thrown out, right? So I'm just saying. Okay? So again, as Chicago seeks to thwart ICE's deportation efforts, Johnson and Governor Pritzker filed a lawsuit Monday attempting to block Trump's administration from deploying National Guard troops to Illinois. And so we already heard all that they said in that hour-long, I guess, press conference, okay, which is also very interesting. But I'm wondering how successful they're actually going to be. Johnson continues saying the Trump administration must end the war on Chicago. The Trump administration must end the war against Americans. The Trump administration must end its attempt to dismantle our democracy. During his remarks, Johnson accused the extreme right, quote unquote, of refusing to accept the results of the Civil War when slavery was abolished. They have repeatedly called for a rematch, but in the coming weeks, we will use this opportunity to build greater resistance. Chicagoans are clear that militarizing our troops in our city as justification to further escalate a war in Chicago will not be tolerated. The right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. That is a statement. That is a statement. How? Wow. Okay. Johnson said Chicago would, quote unquote, not tolerate ICE agents violating our residents' constitutional rights or the Trump administration's disregard for local authority. With this executive order, Chicago stands firm in protecting the constitutional rights of our residents and immigrant communities and upholding our democracy. So he also directed Chicago agencies and departments to identify spaces within the next 5 days that have been targeted during ICE raids and post a clear message to federal immigration officers that the city-owned property would not be used for immigration enforcement, including as a staging area, processing location, or operations base. But like I said, they can still have a building or a spot that could be, you know what I mean? They could find any place as a staging area. Shoot, they can just go rent a big freaking truck, use that as a staging area, and just set up on the side of the road. Public ground, if it's public streets, right? Then it's public streets. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, this ICE-free zone thing, I just don't see how much of a stranglehold this is going to be on ICE. I don't see how this is going to be effective. It still means that ICE is going to be out there being able to do whatever the hell they want or do what they're doing right now, right? So again, that just seems to make no sense. Like I said, is this a big move? If the federal government violates the executive order, we will take them to court. Okay. So then they said, urging Trump to leave Chicago the freak alone. Okay. Interesting. Pritzker, long considered a potential 20. Well, we don't need to know. We don't need to talk about all that. Okay. But we heard what they both had to say. We have this basically ICE-free zone situation that is happening right now. That's been signed into he signed this executive order, so it's in full effect right now. But I guess we'll see if that has any lasting power at all in this situation. I don't know about all that. I don't know if it will. Okay. We will see what's going on. I'm going to hope and pray I can get this to play here. Okay, hold on. I want to make sure I can, because it has been this streaming platform has been acting a fool today. So I'm just going to see. I'm going to press play. I want you guys to hear this. Hit the number 1 if you guys can hear this. If you can't hear this, then just say no. All right?
Fox News alert. Violent, chaotic. This is Chicago. Another weekend of this. Federal agents were forced to fend off violent rioters who were throwing rocks at them and screaming and cursing at them. And the White House has authorized at least 300 Illinois National Guard troops to try to deal with the growing crime crisis. And just today, Illinois filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration over the deployment of help in that city. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Outside Chicago, Broadview is the site of an illegal immigrant processing center that has been in our focus for days now. Border Patrol agents there are in danger, and they had to call in local help for a massive group of protesters which surrounded them. All of this over the weekend. Chicago police officers say their bosses ordered them to stay away. Listen to the dispatch audio here.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that for 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
We're not sending anybody over to that location. The nation's largest police union with full-throated condemnation.
Now, one thing I also heard is that there have been, allegedly, there's been rumor or people talking saying that ICE and police have been fighting with each other. There's been reports of that as well. I don't know if that's entirely true, but that is something that people have been saying out here. People who are highly respected reporters that are, internet journalists, that kind of thing, that are putting out that information as well, which is crazy, right? And yes, I know this is Fox. We're going to be looking at a bunch of different places, guys. So just hold tight, okay? But nonetheless, because I try to play as many different things as I can from many different sides of the media, because I know how biased these guys are, but all of them pretty much are. It's tough to just get the information without some sort of bias. All right. So take it as you will. We're going to continue, though. I think this is just a very interesting piece of information that they're saying that ICE and police, local police, have been going toe-to-toe with each other. But again, like I said, that is information that people are saying. Don't know if that's 110% true. Okay. And then again, there's also so much content and so much footage, so much coverage going on all throughout Chicago because there are protests going on. Now, would I say riots? I have not seen riots in that way, but I have seen a lot of chaos for sure. Okay. But let me play just a tiny bit more. We got some more here too. I want to play that interview of the woman that got arrested. Hold on.
The group's president said members are shocked and appalled, adding they believe that when an officer calls for assistance, you answer no matter what. We are seeing all of this with our own eyes, but Democrats say they don't need any help from President Trump. And they're even trying to flip the switch and blame the president.
They want mayhem on the ground. They want to create the war zone so that they can send in even more troops.
It's a misuse of the.
Here's the other thing too. Apparently there've been footage. There's footage out there too. Like I said, this is just what they're showing out here. Don't know if it's entirely true or not, but it is something that is being shared like crazy on X right now. People that are on the right that are dressed up as if they are protesters, be a part of the agitation. So again, like I said, this is just crazy. All right. The allegations, the information that's out here, we don't know what's true. We don't know what's fake. It's very, very frustrating. And yes, the blame game has already started. The blame game happened way before ICE was sent to Chicago. The blame game had already begun way before that. Whether you are for it or not, there was already sights and focus and interest on Chicago, on the likes of Chicago, Portland, and Los Angeles, long time before ICE was brought in there. And that's facts. Okay? That's facts. But the thing is that the other side I can see, as far as the argument goes, is that there are people that will sit there and say, hey, well, then he said he gave fair warning when he sent out the National Guard in D.C. He said, hey, guys, I'm looking at you, Chicago. I'm looking at you, Detroit. I'm looking at you, L.A. I'm looking at you, Portland. Do something. Figure it out. Clean up your streets before I do it myself. Right? And now I'm not sitting here saying that they can clean up the streets super duper fast, but has Chicago done anything to get things going? as far as cleaning up the streets before ICE or National Guard was deployed. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, he even said Memphis as well. He's like, I'm looking at all y'all. You see, I'm looking at y'all. Okay? Hi. Keeping an eye on you. And I'm bringing them over to you. If it's successful here in D.C., I'm sending it right over to y'all ass. But you guys can fix things up before I even deploy any National Guard. So do something about it. So there's that opportunity for these cities to ship up, right? I'm just saying. The finger pointing is actually happening for sure. Okay. And this is the situation of chicken or the egg type of thing. All I'm saying is, here's the question, I guess, is what could they have done? Right? What could these cities do to quickly wrap things up? Right? Clean things up, clean the city up, clean the crime, blah, blah, blah. What could they have done before this? I feel like in a way it was inevitable. As soon as you think about this for a second. Okay, let's just think for a second, y'all. Before y'all get in your, start going and jumping on your side and to your bias. I'm just saying, think about this for a second. Think outside the box for just 2 seconds. If you really think about it, this is what Trump wanted, y'all. I'm sorry. Think about this. You are literally sending ICE into a blue city. You are literally, he hasn't done New York yet, which I'm surprised that he hasn't done New York yet. But you're sending ICE. Think about this. I'm just saying, hold on. Shh. Before you get mad, okay? Before you start going, my president, that's my president. Chill. Think about this for a second. He's not sending he's not sending ICE to red cities, not yet at least. He is going straight towards blue cities. He's sending ICE to these blue cities. ICE to these blue cities that are known to have protests. Think about that for a second. They're prone to protesting. So you're sending ICE into a blue city to clean up them streets or to get rid of, illegal immigrants and all that stuff, right? Right? In a blue city that isn't a fan of him in the first place and is known to protest, period. What do you think he just did? He made a recipe for disaster. Now, here's the thing. Hear me out. 2 different things. One, it would have been wild if ICE went out there, did their thing. It was reported in the news, but there were no protests. Then I think he would have been like, oh, damn. Fiddlesticks. Because he's probably hoping to be like, oh, see, they're getting unruly. So I'm sending out the National Guard. This is what he wants. This is exactly what he wanted to have happen. Think about it for a second. Think about it. We already know that Portland's known for their own set of protesting riots and all the chaos and all that's been going on in Portland for years. We've been known that. So what do you think is going to happen when he sends ICE or sends the National Guard out there? You think that the people aren't going to react? This is what he wants. Like I said, think about it. He's not sending these troops or these agents to any red cities right now. Do you see him going to a red city right now with ICE? Because most likely those red cities would probably be like, okay, go ahead, do your thing, bro. Take them. Thank you, ICE. Yay. There'd be parades for ICE in some of these cities, in these red cities. But in these other cities that are blue, that are known for protesting, known to have gatherings of people, known for, sit there and say Antifa or whoever else, okay? far right, etc. He basically said, all right, I'm just going to give them the match. I'm just going to give them the match, the kerosene, and a couple things that are flammable to a group of people that are pyromaniacs. Think about that. And I'm just going to sit back and watch them have fun burning things because I know for a fact that they're going to burn things because they're pyromaniacs. So just give them the stuff and sit back and let them take the whole place down. Burn, baby, burn. Think about that for a second. Think about that. It's like, okay, we got a group of, non-practicing alcoholics. We got a group of them in here. They known to party. They known to drink a lot. And then they're about to act a fool after. All we got to do is just put out a few handles of Tito's and some mixers, maybe a couple cases of beer. Sit back and let them destroy their lives. Let them destroy everything in 2 seconds. Just let them do it. Watch them do it because we already know it's going to happen. So you got the ICE going into these cities when you already know that there's going to be people out there that are going to speak out and speak up. And some might get volatile. Ooh, great. Get that footage of somebody throwing a rock at one of the vehicles. Fantastic. See the city in upheaval. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. It's like Mr. Burns. Okay? He's going, yes. You just see what I'm saying? And then he's good. Let's send in the guards. Let's go. This is exactly what he wanted, y'all. Okay? This is exactly what he wanted. In other words, the city is falling into the trap that he set up. Do you see what I'm saying? And the people that are out there are falling for it. All the people that are out there protesting and all that, they fell for it. Think about it. Same thing that's going on in Portland. All the craziness that's going on in Portland. You think that we've worn, this is our first time wearing these shoes? You really think this is our first rodeo up in this biz naive? Hell to the no. So again, falling right into his plan. Whatever the hell the plan is, okay? Whatever the grand plan is, he's the people of Portland that are protesting and acting a fool, same thing in Chicago, they're falling for it. And they're giving reasons for him to try to federalize and get these military troops or these National Guards into these cities. Come on, guys. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. And it doesn't even matter, T-25. I don't know why that makes me think of Terminator, okay? T-25. But still, doesn't matter if he's trying to clean that ish up. Doesn't matter because we don't really know what his plan is. Is it really to clean these things up or is it really for control? Regardless, he's putting those things out for a reason. What is the reason? What is the grand plan? Because I think it's bigger than just him going, we're trying to clean the streets. I really don't think it's just cleaning the streets, y'all. And I know I might sound crazy, okay? I might sound absolutely nucking futz when I say that. Maybe I'm wearing my tinfoil hat when I say that. But I feel like there's something more going on than just him going, we need to clean these streets. We just need to clean the streets. I don't see it like that. I truly feel in my bones, I feel it all the way down to my plums that there's something bigger going on. What that is, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the memo, but they're trying to do something, and I don't know. It doesn't feel 100% right. It really does not. But like I said, he's going into places that he knows for a fact are going to cause absolute, like he knows that he already knows how the people are going to react. And that's exactly what's happening right now. He's getting what he wants by the people reacting in this way. But imagine if the cities were like, all right, go ahead. and they sat back and not said anything, did not throw rocks, okay? Did not retaliate in any violent way. Just said, hey, this is not cool. We're not cool with this. He'd be like, oh, damn, that didn't work exactly what I wanted. You see what I'm saying? Because if people were out there just peacefully protesting and him deploying the National Guard type thing, I think we would have a different reaction out here. I still think that, of course, Pritzker and all them are doing what they feel is right. Okay. But I am quite curious. What's really going on here? What is really going on here? Let me get these super chats here really quick before we go into this interview thing. Rook, what up, man? What's up, fam? Yeah, good to see you too, man. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Janobi, thank you so much. If ICE has the biggest budget for their actions, why do they need any military protection? Woo! Good question. That's a damn good question. Overreach? Yeah. I just think that it's trying to control. That's literally it. That's literally what I think it is. Just like I think that he used Washington, D.C. as an opportunity to go, hey, which, by the way, crime was very low before he even deployed the National Guard in D.C. But he did it, and then he used that and said, hey, look, see how clean the streets are? Look, I'm walking into a restaurant in DC. I can walk in the middle of the street and not be bothered. And I am the president of the United States. See how clean the streets are now? When they allegedly say that crime wasn't as bad as he said it was. But he used that as a template. I said, look, successful here. So we're going to do exactly the same thing everywhere else. You really don't think that was part of the plan? That he was planning this all along? We just heard about Project 2025. Him saying, remember before he was elected into presidency, he said, I don't know what you're talking about that. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know about that. What is that? I don't know what that is. Right? Said all that. And now he's talking about it like he'd been known. Bringing in people that penned the freaking Operation 2025. You know, that's terrible. It's terrible, but it's true. Crazy. Baystorian, thank you so much for the love. If the mayor and local police did their job in keeping its citizens safe, then none of this would even be a thing. You know, I agree with that. I agree with that to a certain extent. But I do think that there's certain things that I don't know that are. I keep wondering. See, this is the reason why I am conflicted. Like, I'm not cool with the National Guard going into these cities. I really don't. I think it's an overreach, like we just heard in that super chat. I think it's too much. I think that there's an opportunity to fix things, to try to fix things, and that I don't think has gotten a full opportunity. Like, I don't think that they've exacted that opportunity yet. But then the question is, what could they do? What could they do to really fix things? To really clean up this? Like, what can they do to stop crime from criming? You see what I'm saying? Sure, you can bring more police out there, right? You can really crack down on certain things, but will that really put a dent in the crime rate? Will it or will it not? I don't know. You also got to remember, a vastly large city that is also super metropolitan. People living on top of people and top of people, right? It's like the same thing as like New York, right? New York is violent as hell. People are losing their lives every day in New York City. Crimes are happening every day in New York City, right? How can you really stop crime from criming 100%? How can you do that successfully? Like I said, even if you have all your best and brightest in blue running around in these streets, getting their Batman on, okay? Catching everybody and doing everything they can. Is it really going to put a dent in crime? People still going to crime if crime is an opportunity. So I'm wondering, how can you stop that? Right? See, that's what I think, just me. You can't stop crime from criming. Criminals will find a way, just like he's finding a way. Just saying. So it does make you wonder, how can you do that? Right? It's impossible to be everywhere, all the time, anytime, all the time. That's hard. Crime is going to happen, especially when you are in heavily metropolitan areas. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, I will reveal the survey results here in a second. I will. But I do want to. Whoops, wrong one. I do want to get into this piece. Now, remember that person that actually got arrested while they were at the hospital talking to ICE agents, basically saying whoever was detained had they kept on saying, doesn't he have a constitutional right? Aren't you violating his constitutional rights? Right? And then randomly they get arrested. They weren't even yelling at them. They weren't screaming at them. They weren't spitting in their face. They weren't putting their hands on them, on these ICE agents. Nothing like that. They didn't seem to be violent in any type of nature. They didn't gesticulate in a violent manner. They were just asking questions, and then suddenly they were arrested. So from my understanding, this is the interview. This is the first time me seeing it too. But this is the interview from the person that actually got arrested at that hospital. And hopefully we get to see a little bit more of the video in this situation. Now, hold on. If you can, make sure, of course, just hit the number 1. Let me know you guys can hear this as well. All right. But again, like I said, violence is never the answer. I truly think, before we get into this, I truly believe that you have a voice. You have every right to use your voice, and that is your legal right. That is your constitutional right to get out there and say what you believe in, right? Whether I like it or believe, agree with it or not, that is your legal right. If you're with a group of people and you want to go out there and protest, you have every right to do that. No one should be detained or arrested for speaking their mind out there against the powers that be. They should not be arrested solely because the opposing, the powers that be, don't agree with your voice. If you're doing it peacefully, which I highly recommend you do, all right, you should not be detained for that. And here's the other thing too. I'm going to say this out loud now. Why do we have people going up in the face of agents, screaming in their faces? Real talk. Don't do that. It's a waste of time. You want to know why? Because you get all up in their face. You're screaming at them. They get a little bit of condensation, just a little bit of perspiration, a little bit of liquid on their face. They will believe you are spitting on them. You're arrested. Period. Wouldn't your voice is more powerful out there in unison, doing it peacefully, than getting all up in the face of an agent doing this. I'm telling you right now, when you're doing this, you don't think that they're thinking, this guy's going to hit me. He about to put his paws on me. They have zero tolerance right now. So please, guys, I get it. You're passionate. I get it that you are in your feelings and you want to be heard. You can be heard. You can still talk to that agent with a few feet between each other. Real talk. You don't need to be doing all this. Why? So that you have a TikTok that you can share so you can go viral? Isn't your voice and the cause more important than a mother-loving TikTok video? Just asking for a friend. Oh, look how badass I am. And the other thing, too, is like, why are we crumping? Why are we interpretive dancing in front of 5-0? I'm sorry. Like, explain that to me. I'm sorry. I get it that you need to express yourself. All right. But you can do that somewhere else. Use that energy to protest peacefully. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You getting all up in their face, trying to start fights with them and stuff, you're going to get arrested. And then what happens? Your voice is gone. Oh, let's not forget this too. Then they use that content of you acting a damn fool, putting your hands on them, basically saying, see how radical and violent the left is. Come on, guys. Need I say more? Look at them. Look at the people that are throwing rocks at the cars, vehicles as they're driving by. You don't think that they're using that content to be like, look, see how violent the left is? Look how radicalized they are. Look how disturbingly violent they are. Look at them. Look at them all. I'm just saying, your voice is way more powerful when it's outside than it is when it's behind bars. Okay, I'm done saying what I got to say. But like I said, saying those things peacefully, quit trying to get yourselves arrested. Some of y'all need to stop wanting to have anarchy for the sake of anarchy, because that is not the answer. That is not the answer. I'm hoping that I'm in a room full of people that agree with me on that. Violence is not the answer. And the cause is way more important when you're in there doing it peacefully. Okay, let's take a look at this. Because again, from what we saw in that video, it looked like this particular person was asking the ICE agents a question and was apparently just asking a normal question. Why is this person taken away? Aren't you violating that person's constitutional rights? I'm just asking, and I want to know type thing. And then that person got arrested for what? Asking a mother-loving question? But we'll see what happens. Yeah, don't be spitting on law enforcement. You gonna be going to be arrested. That's on you. That's your fault. All right. I'm sorry. Like the that kind of buffoonery, I'm not for. Okay. Like, I'm a practical dude. All right. I get it. You want your voice to be heard. I'm with you 100%. But let's think practically, right? Let's use our common sense. Screaming and putting your hands on police or ICE agents or anybody, okay, any of these federal agents or even the National Guard, you gonna get arrested, or they're gonna put a hurt into you, and then they're gonna arrest you. Use your heads, please. Use your heads. Like I said, you can come back and fight another day peacefully. Let's hear it. Hit the number one. Make sure you guys can hear this, because like I said, my streaming platform is tripping.
In turn, President Trump seeks to reshape Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, into a paramilitary arm of his deportation agenda. ICE says its agents use a minimum amount of force when making arrests, but agents have repeatedly been caught on video violently detaining suspects and becoming aggressive with bystanders or observers who are bearing witness by questioning what they're doing.
Oh my God.
Now, this is a different woman, just so you know. But I think we've all seen this video. And this one's insane as well.
I'm not even going to say things like I normally do, that this is going to be disturbing to watch, because this is what's happening in America all around us, and we don't have a right anymore to turn away. This video you're watching, taken recently in a New York City immigration court, shows an ICE agent shoving a woman to the ground in front of her children after she became distraught as agents detained her husband. The agent in the video was temporarily relieved of his duty, according to the Department of Homeland Security.
He was temporarily relieved of his duties after what he did. And apparently he said some really like derogatory, like rude things to this woman as well, right? Like, I don't know if he said like hola, B word, or something crazy like that, right? But that person, they say, was relieved of his duties temporarily. He was just, I'm sure he was just transported and put somewhere else. Okay. He's just probably not in that city or in that town anymore. But that's some real stuff, y'all. These things are real.
Security. Later, in exactly the same courthouse, ICE officers were caught on video shoving journalists to the door. Take a look at this.
Get out the elevator.
Okay, now look at this. One of these journalists ended up being hospitalized with a head injury, according to AM New York. ICE accused him of interfering with agents. Look at these guys. They're all big. They're all armed. They've all got flak jackets on. In Oregon, video shot from inside the car shows ICE agents breaking the window while detaining a man outside of his son's daycare center.
You mind if I grab your ID from you? Go ahead and roll your window all the way down.
Why? What's going on?
Go ahead and roll your window all the way down.
I have a baby in the car.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
With the baby.
There's a baby in the car. And is it hard to wait for 3 minutes? I'm getting out. Well, you should have done it already.
I told you 3 times. I'm looking at your
Yeah,
step out
but
of the
you
car.
still understand.
An ICE spokesperson said agents broke the man's window to complete the arrest. Last week, ICE agents in Alamosa, Colorado, smashed the car window of a couple with their 1-month-old baby inside as they made their way home from a local courthouse.
Yo, crazy.
What is he being pulled over for? What is he being pulled over for? There's a child!
What the hell?
An investigation by ProPublica documented at least 50.
Is that normal? Is that normal? Real talk, is that normal? That scares the hell out of me, y'all. That scares the hell out of me. I don't know about y'all, but that scares the hell out of me. That's normal? I think not.
Instances of ICE agents breaking car windows within the first 6 months of Trump's current presidency. In contrast, ProPublica reports only eight such incidents in the entire prior decade. Which brings us to Chicago, where this week, federal agents raided an apartment building in what the Illinois governor described as a military-style raid. We talked about this extensively yesterday. Overnight, U.S. Border Patrol agents rappelled down from helicopters onto the roof of a 5-story building. According to Reuters, video show agents kicking down doors, throwing flashbang grenades, and rounding up terrified residents, including children.
Now, we saw this propaganda video because it definitely is propaganda. I don't know. I don't care what you think. I think this is really messed up. But they made content out of this raid. They made content. Let me just say that again. They made content out of this raid, and then they cut it together to make it seem like it's like the ISIS version of Will Smith's Bad Boys. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is bad. And then, of course, they're using this as some sort of recruitment video. If you really think about it, look how badass they are, ICE. Look at us, descending from Black Hawk helicopters and crashing in windows and shooting things up and getting our guys, getting these damn migrants out of this country, ICE. Crazy. That's weird. There's a recruiting video. That's basically what it is, because there's some demented kid that's watching that going right now saying, yeah, I want to join, right? Literally, it's be all you can be, ICE. Well, Army. But you know what I'm saying. Look how dope this is. Now, you know what? I'm waiting for movies and TV shows called about ICE. Waiting for Tom Cruise to be the lead in a new movie about ICE. You don't think that's what happens in these Army and cop movies and these doctor ER movies and TV shows that we see all the time? I'm just saying. It's a recruitment video. If a damn show is. If you think otherwise, then I don't know what planet you're on, but this is definitely a recruitment video. Come join us and kick some ice. Kick some ice. You know what I'm saying?
Here's how one neighbor described the scene.
Crazy.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
That's some wild stuff.
Them kids, zip tying little kids. On Friday, the Chicago alderperson, Jessie Fuentes, said she ended up in handcuffs for a short time when she came to a hospital hoping to speak to a man who had been detained by ICE agents. Take a look at what happened next when Fuentes asked to see a signed judicial warrant for the man being detained.
Here we go.
Do you have a sign?
No, you need to leave before you turn around. You're turn around and leave. He is under. I'm going to arrest you. You were going to be placed under arrest.
Do you have a signed judicial warrant for him?
Joining us now is the Chicago alderperson, Jessie Fuentes. Alderperson Fuentes, thank you for joining us. Can you give us some more context?
Let me just say this. She was warned, but where was she doing anything illegal? That was not like a facility that was run by ICE. Sure, she was warned. Okay. And I don't think that was deserved at all. Okay. That was not deserved at all. Like I said, if this was a situation where it was you there, and I get it. Some of y'all are, doing cartwheels over this ICE stuff, and that's fine. That's totally fine. When it's right, I am down for it. When it's wrong, I'm not down for it. But imagine if you were standing there and you're just asking a question and they're like, you leave right now or I'm arresting you. For what? I'm asking a question and I'm not in a place where I'm not allowed to be at. I'm not trespassing. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm asking you a simple question. And they couldn't answer that question, so therefore they arrested her. That's wrong. That's wrong, guys. Okay? That's wrong.
What we just watched, particularly about you, what more can you tell us about what led to that moment where we saw them arresting you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Look, what we are seeing in the videos that you have shown is a common practice of ICE agents. We are watching ICE agents slam people's heads against walls, zip-tie children, zip-tie seniors, detain U.S. citizens. And me coming to a hospital and asking a simple question, if they had a signed judicial warrant, not only is it not a crime, it is a constitutional right to ask a question, but I was met with violence by ICE agents who refuse to follow people's constitutional rights, but more importantly, seek to sow division. This sort of project, this process, this violence that Trump is ensuing in the city of Chicago is meant to sow division in our community. We're just not going to fall for the bait. When I was put in handcuffs, it was because I asked the question. What you don't see in that video is that I'm actually shoved twice, very close to a wall before I'm put in handcuffs and then taken out, where Border Patrol is going to put me in a car. And I have to ask very clearly, can you articulate to me what crime did I commit outside of exercising my constitutional right to ask a question and stand up and advocate for my constituents? It was at that time that Border Patrol took the handcuffs off, demanded that I not return into the hospital or they were going to arrest me.
Every one of those videos that I showed, in no instance was anybody violent toward anybody, any of these officers. In no instance, right? So we've gone through 2 decades of talking about policing and the de-escalation of violence. And here, anything, a question, a delay in getting out of the car. There was no threat with that man in Colorado that he was armed. They didn't suspect he was. This breaking of windows. This thing that happened in Chicago was wild. The rappelling down a building using helicopters. I didn't even know ICE had helicopters.
Well, this is the type of military activity that Trump wants to exercise in the city of Chicago. In that building in South Shore, we had U.S. citizens, children, individuals that have no criminal record being abused, zip-tied, and pulled out of their buildings in the middle of the night. This is exactly what Trump wants to show, that he is a fascist king. He is not here to be a president. He is not here to ensure that he can provide the safety to his constituents across this country. He has declared war against the very people that live in his country that he is supposed to represent. What we are seeing is a clear escalation of ICE agents choosing to abuse individuals physically and abuse their constitutional rights.
One of the things that I talked to Brad Lander, who is the city comptroller here in New York, who does what you do. He goes to courts simply to bear witness, right? To ask the questions you're asking. You're not going to solve any problem by being there. You're not going to get ICE to release the person who's been detained, but you are doing what you are elected to do. You are there to bear witness, which, by the way, is not just a role for you. It's a role for every single one of us, right? Every citizen can go and ask. You have the same rights whether you're elected or not to do this. Does it make a difference that we bear witness? Does it make a difference that you went there and there was video of you being detained and manhandled by these officers?
It is absolutely necessary. In this moment, the documentation of this activity is going to prove that what we are witnessing is a violation of human rights in the country that is supposed to uphold democracy to its highest point. If they can do this to an elected official who's merely asking a question, we have to beg the question. What do they do to individuals when cameras are not around, behind closed doors, on our streets? They are abusing individuals, both physically, emotionally, mentally, and constitutionally. This is the country under the Trump administration.
But this is an interesting point you make. In every one of these instances, it was 100% clear that somebody was catching this on video. No shame at all. No one said, hey, guys, there's someone shooting this on video. Maybe we shouldn't beat this car and break this window or put a child in zip ties.
If you really think about it, they want recording. They want videos being made because it's an opportunity for their own version of intimidation or saying, hey, we're coming. Don't mess with us. See what we're doing? We use full force and give 0 Fs about your feelings, right? Think about that. It's, bad boys, migrants, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? That's basically what they're saying. It's basically guerrilla propaganda. Like guerrilla marketing. It's guerrilla marketing meeting propaganda because people are still making those videos because, of course, they should, especially if it's something illegal going on, if there's excessive force and all that. But that's still an opportunity for people to see what's going on. And then also, it's to strike fear into the people of America and potential illegal immigrants that are in the country that are seeing these things too. Oh, snap. ICE is coming. ICE isn't playing. You see what I'm saying? It's an opportunity for them to use that and to have that recorded because it's easy information to get out there for everyone to see. ICE is here and ICE is not playing. That's literally what it is. It's guerrilla propaganda. Real talk. That's guerrilla. It's guerrilla marketing at its best. You've heard of guerrilla marketing, right? Guerrilla marketing. Okay. Guerrilla marketing is basically where it's outside sources that are talking about somebody's wearing a pair of Nikes, right? A pair of Jordans. And they're rocking those shoes in a video, right? Or they say it in a little Snapchat video or something of that sort. Yo, I got these brand new Jordans. They're amazing, blah, blah, blah. Look, it puts the whole fit together. You feel me? That kind of thing, right? Or it's like, oh God, I went to this really great bakery. They have the best chocolate chip cookies ever. And they do the whole reveal of the cookies, the melted chocolate, you know what I mean? And all that stuff, right? That is just another way of advertising, which is guerrilla marketing. You're using third-party people to, promote that specific thing. And then somebody goes, yeah, in a conversation, oh yeah, I remember somebody saying about the best chocolate chip cookies come from this particular place. Let's go check it out, right? So again, it's the same thing as, oh damn, ICE is not playing. Look at them doing what they're doing. They're busting windows open. They don't care if there's a 3-year-old in the back in the back seat. They don't give two damns. Guerrilla propaganda. And now everyone has fear. Even American citizens have fear, okay, for ICE. Because you never know. You happen to be brown or black in the wrong place at the wrong time. And say you are an American citizen. Suddenly, you're taken in or stopped. Or they're busting your window open just because you're brown or black. That's some scary stuff, guys. Real talk, that's some scary stuff. So that footage is doing them a service as well. Okay? Spreading that shroud of fear to every person that's in America.
That's right. So they can do it on camera. They can be masked. They can not have any identification. They can come into our communities and truly cause chaos and terror. This is not about safety or security. This is about sowing division. This is about control for the Trump administration. And we cannot fall for the bait. We must continue to bear witness. We must continue to document, and we must continue to educate individuals to know their rights, not only in the city of Chicago, but across this country.
Alder Burrs and Jesse Fuentes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I feel like, we're getting into some really crazy times. Obviously, we already knew that, okay? And again, even the reporter here was saying, hey, I didn't even know that ICE had Blackhawks, right? Didn't even know they had helicopters to rappel from. Well, they do. They most definitely do. If they're able to do that, God only knows what they're going to be able to do here in the very, very near future. So again, this is something that we all should be giving a damn about. Because again, what's going on in Chicago, what is going on in Portland right now, could be happening anywhere else. Okay? Could be happening anywhere else. And you got to remember too, the amount of applicants for ICE is unbelievable. Over 300,000 applicants so far. And that's before that propaganda video that we saw. You want to know why? Some crazy stuff, y'all. So these individuals, if you become an ICE agent, you get a $50,000 signing bonus. And if I'm correct, I think they said something about like getting rid of student debt or something crazy like that. I need to cross-reference that. But one thing's for sure, there's a signing bonus of a whole lot of money. If you become an ICE agent, there's a lot of people that are signing up. A lot of people are. A lot. And the other thing too is this. You can get the gig. If you pass the test, you get all the stuff, you're physically fit, you're able to do what you need to do. You get that wad of cash and you get to hide your identity. So you can go and do whatever the hell you want. Use excessive force. Blast out windows, etc. You don't care. They don't care. Their whole face is being covered. They're wearing hats, they're wearing masks, covering their entire face so that they don't get caught. You'd be surprised how many people are out there that are actually ICE agents that you may not even know they are. But they are. And some of those people got the job just because the money, because that $50,000 signing bonus, basically. And all the other benefits you get from the gig. That is insane. Now, yes, those agents were getting threats of getting doxxed and all that, which, by the way, that's not good. Don't dox them. Okay, I get it. People are in their feelings about the whole thing. But at the same time, does that answer anything? No. That makes things worse, and it gives them more of a reason to wear these masks. And when they wear these masks, that means that they can do whatever the hell they want. You got to understand that. Oh, you don't know who I am. So I'm going to treat you exactly as such. So again, this is some crazy, crazy stuff. Okay? Crazy stuff. And of course, we're going to be, yeah, I mean, don't dox people, man. It's dumb. It's dumb. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the situation. All right, at all. But obviously, what's going on in DC? Sorry, not DC. I'm sorry. What's going on in Chicago? What's going on in Portland? How there's pushback from Chicago. All right, you got our elected officials in Chicago and the state of Illinois pushing back at Trump and trying to stop these National Guard troops from coming into their city. Man, what could this? Where's this going? Right? Where is this going? I'm quite curious about it, but we're going to see what happens. I might be back on a little bit later on this evening just to see how things have transpired. But this is absolutely crazy, and I'm keeping an eye on everything because I have a feeling tonight might be a little crazy. So if it is, I'll be on covering and watching that as well. So that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Okay, regardless of your thoughts on this, we all just need to take care of each other. All right? We all just need to take care of each other. Period. Let me end this poll. 732 votes. Let's see what it says. 59% of y'all say get to stepping. Hell no, get to stepping. The question was, should Chicago allow National Guard into their city streets? 59% of y'all basically said no out of 732 votes. But still, there's 41% of y'all that are saying let them in. Like I said, there's a lot of people that feel it's a good thing to bring in the National Guard, and there's a lot of people that think it's not a good thing. It is a wild, wild case. This is a wild world we're living in, and we need to find a better way to stop the crime and bring peace to these cities, because this will spread. If it's Chicago and Portland, other cities might follow in suit as well. I hope that's not the case, but we'll see what happens. So please do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. Also, subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Here, go on my second and third channel, The Pascal Show and the Pascal Show Clips and Pascal Raw. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification on all those platforms, please and thank you. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below, become a member. Check out my Patreon, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. I will probably be on a little bit later on this evening, just to see how the protests and all that stuff go, because I'm sure there will be protests in a few hours. So be on the lookout. Make sure that notification bell is on, okay? So you are back here so we can see how things are going, all right? But anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Stay safe out there. If you are in the Portland and Chicago area and are going down there to protest, please be safe. Just do it peacefully, all right? We don't need you detained, okay? We just need your voice out there in those streets. That's it. Do it peacefully. Anyway, guys, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.